The official line for Dwayne Haskins, the former Ohio State quarterback taken 15th overall in Washington, is that I'll play whenever they want me to play. I'll play if they want. I'll sit if they want. I'll do whatever they want. Then every once in a while, the true feelings will sneak out. Recently, NFL's Twitter account said, raise your hand if you're ready to see Dwayne Haskins in action, and he raised his hand. Now, that doesn't mean that he's defying his vow to do whatever the team wants him to do. I still believe that he will do, and he will be a good teammate, and he will comply with whatever the coaching staff decides.
Of course.
But the question is, when will we see Dwayne Haskins on the field? That's storyline number 29 as we approach the 2019 season. And, Chris, there are different ways this can go. There are 3 candidates in Washington, and I think Dwayne Haskins can end up being a very good quarterback. The tension is going to come from Jay Gruden and his desire to remain employed. Because if you want to remain employed, you truly want the guy that gives you the best chance to win football games this year. And it may not be Dwayne Haskins because Colt McCoy knows the offense far better.
Right.
Case Keenum, far more accomplished at the
Right.
NFL level, in large part because Haskins has never done anything. And it could be tempting for Gruden to go with one of the veterans, especially because it's always easier to flip from a veteran to the rookie than it is to go with the rookie. And if the rookie's no good, what are you going to do? Bench him?
Right.
And slow his development?
Sure.
So, I think that even though long-term it would make sense to throw Haskins into the fray, I could see why Jay Gruden would decide to go with one of the other 2 guys, at least at first, to see if they can throw together enough early wins that maybe they do have a shot at a playoff berth. Because if they don't make it to the playoffs, Gruden's not going to be there next year to coach Dwayne Haskins anyway.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. And you brought up a lot of good points, first off. I think the first thing is, hey, it's encouraging regardless that Dwayne Haskins has interjected himself in this conversation. And all you got to do is kind of look at what Jay Gruden said about him, even at the end of minicamp and OTAs. And, he made some comments like, oh, yeah, I mean, he's definitely got himself into the conversation. They've kind of talked about that Dwayne Haskins has made some throws and some plays that have opened up everybody's eyes to go, whoa. So he obviously has talent to, belong as a day one starter, do all those things. It's just, is he seasoned enough? Is he going to be good enough? Jay Gruden also, one of the last press conferences he talked about just, hey, I hope Dwayne Haskins doesn't fall asleep at the wheel, over the next month here. You got to continue to work, and he's got to work about, the language of the offense and getting in and out of the huddle. And I'm sure Dwayne Haskins will do that. But you're right, Mike. The safe play for a Jay Gruden, a guy who might be on the hot seat here at the end of the year, is maybe to go with the more experienced guy like a Case Keenum or Colt McCoy. But thank you, Kristen, in the back. This is the $1 million thing right here, Mike. Do you want to throw out Dwayne Haskins at Philadelphia, Cowboys at home, Bears at home, at Giants, and then the Patriots to start his career? And that, to me, will all be predicated on his mental development through training camp because, that is not an easy start to the season.
Yeah, I agree with that take. And look, I'm a big believer in throwing a guy right into the fire. If you think that a guy is worthy of being drafted with a first-round pick, then he's worthy of being put on the field.
Right.
And if you don't think he's worthy of being put on the field, then draft somebody else. The window is too limited for these coaches to show that they can get results to justify a multi-year project. Draft a guy that you think you can put on the field and play. And I think that Haskins can be effective right away. But you're right. You throw him in week 1, he may take some lumps, the team may take some losses, and then you're hoping that he shows enough progress at the end of the year that ownership decides to allow Dwayne Haskins to continue to work with Jay Gruden, because you're not going to be able to say, hey, we made it to the playoffs. You're going to have to come up with some other fallback plan to convince the owner to not make a change. And I think that's going to be a little too tenuous for Gruden because all in all, he hasn't done enough to maybe earn another year if he doesn't get to the postseason. And he seems to be very aware of that reality, which tells me he is maybe going to lean toward a veteran at least to get the year started,
right,
and then rely on that sense of when the right time will be to flip it. The problem is the bye is week 10.
Yes, right.
They'd be better served, Chris, with an earlier bye this year.
No, they would. But, I mean, to me, what you said there at the end, yes. I mean, Jay Gruden's very aware. He's a real guy. He's a great guy, Jay Gruden. So he's aware of the situation in its totality. And, yes, to me, it would make, the most sense, unless Dwayne Dwayne Haskins just blows everybody away through training camp and they go, oh my gosh, he's all over the offense. He knows everything, knows every check, every audible. If that's the case, hey, maybe you do start in week 1. But if there's any doubt, you go with some of the more proven commodities. And then what does it take to get Dwayne Haskins in there? After week 5, if they're 2-3, right? That might be enough to where they go, okay, we got the Dolphins. They're not very good. Maybe that's the week you throw them in there.
There's one factor we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Supposedly ownership made the call on drafting Dwayne Haskins. Ownership may ultimately make the call on when Dwayne Haskins plays. So what Jay Gruden wants may not matter.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.